Welcome to True Health Tuesday, and the truth will set you free. And the truth is going to be kind of fun tonight. Okay, it's literally changing your mind. It's something before this, I was looking at how water can actually retain messages and can transfer information. So that's the kind of stuff that we really should be studying, not fear and ignorance. So we're going to get that back. Now, if you're watching the Dr. BVIP, because censorship is rampant in this. Now, what's interesting, anybody here have any family members that if you say, oh yeah, the censorship is incredible, and they go, censorship? Yeah, because I got a couple of people like that. And you got to explain to them, yeah, there's a lot of things that you can't say. Well, we have the apprenticeship program, because this will be on Dr. BVIP. For those that are supporting us for the less than a cup of coffee a month, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's important because it's a lot of research. And also, when you get on there, it's a private site. So even though it's only like a couple of bucks a month, you get a chance to copy, download, save this, and disseminate the information. I was just on the Robert Kennedy's Children's Health Defense radio or podcast this past Saturday, and we talked about stuff that I can't even mention. But also on the Dr. BVIP, the last Thursday of every month, we have an apprenticeship program. The first one, we talked about neurology and basic anatomy. The second one, we talked about how respiration, breathing, and oxygen transfer. Third one, we talked about kidney, liver, and spleen. No, it was not a recipe, miss. Okay. Organ meats are healthy for you. Okay, but it was also about the function and things. So this one coming up, we're going to talk in detail about joint regeneration and how the majority types of arthritides are actually the body regrowing. Extreme Health Academy, also, you can get on there for 2 weeks, no charge. Try it out. Bergman 14 is the code. Okay, but this is, if you have any health issues, this is the way to do it. And really, if you have a spare body in the closet, you don't really need to work on this one. I'm totally kidding. We don't have spare bodies. Okay, so it's ideal. So let's look way back in history. And we're going to go way back to 2020. Okay, this is around the 1300s. Now, you'll be wondering at the time, the wealthy died at a greater rate than the poor. I'm sure the poor had better hygiene. No, 1300s, you were pooping in a bucket, okay? There's no running water except for the stream, okay? So now they had an idea where disease came from. It came from bad air, malaria, okay? Bad spirits, sin, evil spirits, of course. The technology that they used to address this was they had this snout filled with scented herbs. So this would knock out the bad air. They had red lenses because everybody knows that spirits can't pass through red lenses. That's obvious. And then they used incantations. Oh, the wax-coated coat was to wipe blood off. It was easier to wipe blood off, a wax-coated coat. The solutions were isolation, bleeding to get the bad blood out, quicksilver or mercury injections, okay, and incantations. Going way up to 2020, the really advanced group. Okay, so the idea is that germs cause disease, not immune system, not strengthening the immune system, not physical, chemical, emotional stress. That germs are really bad. Even though now, granted, this was back about 2.5, 3 years ago. We know that you are germs. You've got 70 trillion cells. You've got 10 times the 70 trillion cells of bacteria. You have 10 times the bacteria viruses. We can't even count the funguses and yeast and parasites that you need in order to survive. So granted, I mean, look at these people with compassion, that they're completely stupid, okay? That they're thinking, and there's no thought about strengthening the immune system. Okay, just germs cause disease. Okay, now the technology is to cover your face and nose because you emit particles that you can't see. Okay? Chew. Oh my gosh, I just spread those particles. Okay? And so you must run and be afraid of each other. Okay? Now, You must sanitize everything. And I know it sounds ridiculous because you need staph epidermis, okay, in order to protect you from staph aureus, or there's all sorts of different things. So to put a cancer-causing agent on your hands because you're afraid of bacteria that's going to pierce your skin, we now know that that technology is insane. And what was the therapy? And yes, that is a chainmail mask, which I did wear in the first few months, which got me through some of the security at some of these institutions, because at the time, I know it's going to sound weird, but they said that some businesses were essential and some weren't. And we'll have a quiz later at which businesses were thought essential, like liquor stores, gun stores, and Costco, and which ones weren't thought essential, like gyms, churches, beaches, and hiking. Yes. And in Huntington Beach, we actually eliminated the grass. That is really a sign. And yes, the council in Huntington Beach was smart enough to put a caveat on the bottom. It's illegal to destroy this sign, because there were still people at the time of understanding that grass won't transmit a virus. So let's look at the actual the motivation behind this, okay? Because that's what you really got to get at, okay? The teacher and learner experiment was incredible, okay? Now, and you might think that human nature, that we're all part of the same energy. We have the same anatomy, physiology. We're a community, okay? It is possible that a malevolent authority exists, not only in history books, but in our times. That you put that trust in the authority, that trust could be used against you. And this is what we're experiencing now. Now, this experiment, is it possible? Is it possible, and I know you all have relatives, that the trust you put in that authority was wrong, and the authority could be wrong? Is that possible? Okay, that things, and I know there are things that that we can't talk in this hour, but here's the experiment, okay? You had a teacher and a learner. So one person was reading questions, and if the person that you couldn't see answered them incorrectly, you gave them a jolt of electricity. And you couldn't see that person, but you could hear them go, ow, that hurt, if they failed. And it would be ever increasing dosage. So you, as the person in the experiment, you are unaware that that person really isn't getting shocked, okay? That you are the experiment, okay? And the authority has to continue to give you this instruction. Now, 2/3 of the participants, 65%, got the highest voltage, 450 volts, that they were told they were sending off to the experiment. And so each time you're giving, when they make a mistake, you have to press a button, and you can hear the screams on the other end. And there were 4 prompts, okay? One, I really can't do this. I can tell the guy's in pain. Please continue. Again, you shock the person. You feel bad for the person, but you have the person in authority. The experiment requires you to continue. You keep going. You're shocking this person. You're asking them inane questions, and if they get it wrong, it's absolutely essential that you continue. And you can protest. You can say, well, I'm really concerned about this person. I think I'm actually hurting him. You won't be responsible. Don't worry. Okay? The person will not be injured. You have no other choice but to continue. Now, I want you to correlate. If you can think back to 2020, most people will wipe that out of their memory. What kind of prods did you get? Okay? To do certain interventions, to do certain actions. Were you prodded by the TV? Were you prodded by your neighbors and relatives and friends to do certain actions? Ordinary people are likely to follow orders given by an authority figure, even to the extent of killing an innocent human being. Obedience to authority is ingrained in us from all the way we're brought up. Think of this. If you weren't obedient to your parents, they wouldn't feed you, house you, or clothe you. So you got the idea that you had to go along with authority figures. People tend to obey orders from other people if they recognize their authority as morally right and or legally based. This is responses to legitimate authority is learned in a variety of situations, for example, school, family, workplace. So this is being ingrained into this. Let's say if you wanted to turn or had to turn in your neighbors. Let's say if they were of a different religion or a different political bent, okay, or maybe they didn't follow along with societal norms. No, I'm not talking about 2 years ago. I'm talking about 90 years ago, okay, in Germany. And what were they saying? Why did you turn in your neighbor? I was just doing my job. Should I take the risk and not turn him in? I should just go along. It was the right thing to do. These are all how people justified their reactions because you're talking bakers, you're talking just bus drivers, walking fellow human beings into camps. Now, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the Gulag Archipelago. So this, when you're talking about change, when you're concerned about the economy or the wars or the interventions by the government into your personal life, okay, those are valid fears, but they're not anything you can do about it. And if you're thinking there are actual evil people and there's actually good people, there's no distinction between the two because in that teacher and learner experiment, we've all gone through that. Now, Solzhenitsyn, if only it were all so simple. If there were evil people somehow insidiously committing evil deeds, and it were necessary to separate them from the rest of us and destroy them. But the line dividing good and evil cuts through the heart of every human being, and who is willing to destroy a piece of his own heart? Now, there are people who have no empathy for others. They're evil, they're sociopaths. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your friends and relatives that have separated you from society because you're not following the orders. Okay, that's what's going on in our country and our world. Okay, now, a Stoic, imagine if you looked at this, this was started by a person who was super, uber, amazingly, fantastically wealthy. Okay, back in Roman times, Greek and Roman times. Now he had all his wealth on the ship, family and everything, crashed, burned, sunk to the ground, nothing, no insurance, no property anywhere, gone. He is now from, super uber wealthy to a slave. How do you survive that? Because I'm telling you right now, if you saw the boom and the bust in the cryptocurrency, if you're seeing boom and bust in businesses, there's a lot of people that have lost their livelihood in businesses. Okay, this is going to be going on. So how do you survive that? This is how he not only survived it, he was a slave that had people coming to him, and I'm talking people like emperors for his advice. Because somebody that had survived that, this is why if you look at Solzhenitsyn or Viktor Frankl, okay, Man's Search for Meaning, you look at people that have survived these things. We are going to not just survive this, but you are going to be into a new renaissance, okay, after going through this, because people are waking up that the authority not only they don't have real power over you, but they are confused. They have their own agenda. And so when you wake up to that we have rights that should not be separated from us, cannot be separated from us, and that's what he found out as well. Wisdom, 4 virtues. This is to choose your response to the stimulus, what is internal and what is external. So you can choose your response. You can't choose what kind of environmental influences are out there, but you can choose how you respond to it. Courage, and this is the ability to persevere, resist, and persist. Temperance, acting with discipline and self-control, despite the draws of passion and greed. No, I'm not talking about Pelosi. Stop bringing her up. Yeah, she ain't on the temperance side. Justice. Well, we can talk about Biden and his family too, Brandon and his family, but that would be crazy. Justice instructs that we are all born for each other, to do good to one another and not for ourselves. Imagine a world with those four virtues. Now, we get into frustration when we try to control what's outside our control. You can't control what people think, do, or say. We can respond to it correctly, or how we respond to it. We can't control the weather, but we can decide how to set our sails and how to adapt to that. We can't control the economy, but it's our responsibility to decide how we react when we lose money, an investment, or pensions. Because if you are dependent on the government, okay, understand the government won't be there, okay, like we envision it now. We can't control traffic jam, but we can decide how we spend our time waiting in the car. When I was teaching in LA and practicing down here, sometimes there'd be, if anyone's familiar with Southern California, it could be a half hour to get to a place, or it could be 2 hours to get to a place. I realized that when I was beating my steering wheel because I was late, and I hate being late. If I'm 15 minutes early, I'm still feel late. Okay. And I realized this is not serving me. Okay. There's nothing I can do. And I go through my mind, is there anything possibly that I can do to facilitate this? No? Okay, well, I'm stopped dead. Why don't I read a book? Okay, so I have my water here, so I can read a book, drink my water, open up my window, and I actually enjoyed the traffic jam. Okay, when we try to control areas of our life that are out of our risk, we feel powerless, ineffective, frustrated, bitter, jealous, revengeful, and unhappy. Is that the majority of the population right now? Yeah, because we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Where you get outside, you can't control the thoughts, opinions, or beliefs of other people. You can't control the economy, the job market, political climate. Your body, you can't control it. This is what you got. Okay, whether it's strong or big or tall or fat or short or sick or healthy, this is the body you got. Okay, age, hunger, desire, emotion. Can anyone control their age? No, you can be a healthy 30-year-old or a sick 30-year-old. Okay, it doesn't matter. What you can, your actions, thoughts, beliefs, and decisions. And that's the key. Now, this is interesting. This is NatWest, okay, an online banking service in the United Kingdom. Now, let's say that you had money in a bank and you wanted to take it out. What's that called? Withdrawal. Okay, good. Thanks. I was curious about that. Okay, so if you want to withdraw your money from a bank or from this bank, they will be asking you questions about the purpose of your cash withdrawal. In some cases, they'll want supporting documentation, such as an invoice. Now, this is protect you from any fraud. No, it's for your protection, miss. Okay, now, be advised you need 24 hours if you're going to take more than 2,000 pounds out. In some instances, we may choose to decline the cash withdrawal based on the information provided in the transaction. So you won't be able to get your money out. Okay. And it's up to the bank. Now, I've got some buddies in Belgium that they have a negative interest rate. So if you have a boatload of money in the bank, they're going to start to charge you for keeping it. If you've heard $300 billion in the Chinese banks have just disappeared. So understand this is going on right now. This is not some kind of weird 1984 thing. When visiting one of our branches to make a large cash withdrawal, you will need identification, debit card PIN number, driver's license, relative paperwork for your payment purchase if this exists. For example, Property Works invoice, and be prepared. Our branch colleagues will ask further questions about your withdrawal request, which can take up to 30 minutes, providing advance notification, and it does not mean it's been authorized. This is coming to a bank near you. So I just hit you with something like, and you might be, yeah, I heard that. Or, oh, I have never heard that. Okay? This is coming to us. So the money that we used to use, the fiat currency, the pictures with a bunch of paper, on cloth, that won't have any value. okay? And they're doing this for a purpose. And we're going to talk about the purpose in the second half. The 5 principles of the Stoic philosophy: manage your expectations and judgments. So if you felt that nothing is going to actually change in this world, that you have, you worked hard your whole life, you've got savings, you've got the home, you've got the pension, you've got the Social Security, okay, you can go down to the store and get food anytime you want. You have a car that is very good gas efficient, okay, that everything is going to go fine, you're going to retire, you're going to travel and visit your kids. Think of 2020. Okay, you couldn't visit your neighbors, you couldn't visit your relatives, and they're talking about limiting travel everywhere. Okay, so manage your expectations and judgments. Be realistic about what you have the power to change. Understand the meaning of equanimity and practice it. Call out your emotions for what they are. Live in harmony with nature. So when you look, manage your judgments, there's a gap between expectations and reality. Understand that your expectations and what really you can do is going to be different, okay? And it's going to change. Be realistic about what you have the power to change. Now, the biggest thing in America is all you got to do is work harder, and keep your mind nose to the grindstone, and you'll be successful. Okay, raise your hand if you've tried that. You got incredibly drained. You broke your friggin' body, had a nervous breakdown, and weren't able to achieve it. Am I the only one? Good. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4. Yeah, I know. If I'm in the back, I don't want to really raise my hand either. But let me tell you, this is life. Okay, it's life. Sometimes, I think I was 23 years old when I found out, because I always thought all I got to do is work a little harder. And then I found out, holy shit, I got limits. I need rest. I need sleep. Sometimes at 1 o'clock in the morning, after you've been working since it's 4 o'clock in the morning, you go to drive a piece of drywall with your hand and haul it up on scaffolding. That friggin' arm ain't going to work. It's just done. Okay, so your expectations and judgments, those are going to change in the next few months. Now, practice equanimity means calm composures, and it speaks to a powerful concept. Calm composure when confrontation. Humans have a built-in fight or flight mechanism that perceives threat. So if when you get a hit, like you just lost your pension, or you just lost this, or you just lost that, or something, take a deep breath in, get some self-empathy, okay, and assess the situation without judgment, and you'll be okay. If when you think about this, okay, look at people, because this is when all this stuff was happening. I started to look at history, like in 2020, and the best one is Germany, 1933 to 1939. Okay, there's pictures after Berlin, was the war was over. They declared peace. You saw every man, woman, and child. And I'm talking grandmas, and these people were bakers, truck drivers, little kids. They were picking up the bricks and cleaning them off and getting them stacked up. It didn't matter what kind of job they had. They knew they had to start rebuilding. And they just, that vision in my brain of all these people in all these rows, cleaning up all the exploded buildings, okay? And they're just doing what they can. And that was a little different lifestyle than they had before. Okay, but they're contributing. So that's what I mean. Call out your emotions for what they are. Recognize the emotions and keep them in check, because that if you master your emotions, you change the chemicals your brain secretes, and this alters your physiology. And live in harmony with nature and human nature. If we do live in nature, okay, since you are a symbiote, you have trillions of bacteria and trillions of viruses and trillions of funguses, and you need that in your food. You need that in your makeup, and this is how we're going to survive and thrive on this planet. The further away from nature, and this is in every book. I mean, if you read the Quran and the Torah and the Bhagavad Gita and the Bible, okay, it's kind of the same story. You live closer to God in harmony with the world, shit works out better. You live away from that, shit doesn't work out as good. Okay? And if shit offends you, crap, works out better. You know, I mean, it just does. So when we look at these, wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice, think of those four values and try and relive them over and over when you get a hit. These are books and movies that are currently banned, okay, by a lot of colleges, America, HBO. Why? And I'm telling you, if you go to the Capitol, you're going to see a caricature of a Native American, okay, with, I think it's Daniel Boone, okay, with his neck on him, stabbing one guy, shooting another. Now that is horrible. It was a caricature. We had to demonize the people whose land we were taking over, okay, because it's manifest destiny. Okay, we're going to take it over no matter what. And it was cruel. It decimated a population. We are part of that genocide. Okay, our history is. Do you want to forget it and repeat it? Because we are repeating stuff now. Or do you want to understand it? Okay, and that was the thought process at the time. And set up that we're all made of the same stuff, that we are all human beings and that we're here for each other. And that could have been a heck of a lot better transfer of power instead of wiping out entire groups of people. That's just insane. But this, hiding our history, is worse than confronting it, realizing it, okay, and moving on. You don't need to take a knee because your relatives, you're not responsible for the sins of your great-great-grandfathers, but just understand that's how human beings acted then. It's like when you're reading the Gulag Archipelago. That's how people acted 70 and 80 years ago. If you look at the cruelty of Australia in 2020 and 2021, locking down their entire people, that is cruel, an unusual punishment of one person inflicting that on another. Okay, so we got to change this. The purpose of this promoted ethics as the primary concern for human understanding, ability to tell right from wrong, okay, and ethics. It's mind-boggling that your ethics have to involve other people, how you want to treat them, how you want to be treated. Okay, freedoms, you know, the inalienable rights. You could look at all of our original documents that form this country, which I really think America is the world's only hope. Self-control, to keep a clear, unbiased mind. This requires self-discipline, self-control, and stop clouding your judgment. Your brain, and have you ever heard this term, you reap what you sow? You sow crap in your brain, you're going to be harvesting that. Okay, you have to look at what you're putting in your mind. If you're looking at anxiety and stress and economic damage and all this other stuff, I mean, the stuff I was just watching, the Water's Memory, okay, it was a documentary or The Memory of Water in 2016. It's brilliant. I mean, it gives you goosebumps that 70% of your body is water, and this can hold certain information. I mean, this is mind expanding. If we're in a prison camp, in FEMA camps, I will also do experiments there, you know, so we can see and progress our world afterwards. So self-control is huge. Love of fate, one's fate. Now, whatever you were planning when you were 18, okay, did it work out exactly the way you were thinking? No. No, that person you were dating who was amazing, you were looking at one side, not the other side. Okay, trust me, I know this. I was there. So accept your fate. Embrace everything that happens in your life. I mean, I've been dropped off a building, run over by a car, but consequently, I'm pretty good at fixing joints. You know? I mean, has anyone on, like, not the first marriage? Okay, yeah, I required training too. Okay, yes, it's okay. You know, it's just the good and the bad. Have you done things that you're ashamed of? Have you done things that you're proud of? Yeah, all of those beauties are you. So, you know, accept that fate. Remember, you must die. This is huge. If you understand that everything dies, the mortality. So when you see that friend, hug him or hug her. just say, thank God for you being in this world, you know, just to that appreciation. We've had patients that, I mean, some horrible stories, but anytime you get horror that happens, somebody death or damaged in some way, there's always a balance, okay, where there's going to be more love or something shown to the existing people, or just you have that appreciation, like, my God, I shouldn't be angry with that person, because what if, I just want to express that feeling that I love them. So understand that your death is inevitable, your time is limited, and you won't have the beautiful chaos of life because you all chose to be here. Now, Seneca, who has studied with this, let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. I mean, reading Marco Polo, he said the saddest person he ever saw was this guy on his deathbed, and his last words were, "If only I." Yeah, that sucks. I mean, luckily, when you're all more spirit than matter, you got the better perspective, but damn. Okay. Um, so how do you improve ourselves? Cool head. Okay. Fill your head with stuff that you love and joy. You can fill it with propaganda, but remember, the propaganda that you're being fed is designed to keep you subservient and in a fearful state and not thinking. Okay. So you can be afraid of your neighbors so you can turn them in. Okay. And so you can follow like blind dogs being led by a cart. Okay. Through desire. And when you have your stuff taken away and the government paternalizes this stuff, you're going to give up your freedoms for food security, for government security, no. Private people being responsible for yourself do a much better job than the government. You're responsible for your action, thoughts, and beliefs. Now, here's a couple of methods that I recommend. Nonviolent communication is the greatest. Now, in the massacre in Rwanda, this worked over there to have you stop that violence. It's worked everywhere in the world, but it involves, it's going to sound weird, but this is part of the handout. And if you're on the Dr. BVIP, also too, if you can subscribe to our channel, because we've been shadow banned, and we used to keep going up and up and up, and then in 2020 they shadow banned us because I wasn't following the program. Okay, nonviolent communication sounds simple: observation, feelings, needs, and requests. Okay, I've gone to probably half a dozen seminars. I've read 4 books on it. I've gone to a number of different coaching sessions so that we can, interact and how to use it. And I've been yelled at by my kids dozens of times when, Dad, don't pull that NVC crap on me. But it worked. Okay, my kids are still alive and I still love them. So nonviolent communication is one tool that I use. Neurolinguistic programming is another, because your brain is being programmed consistently. Your subconscious is programmed through repetition. Why do you think on the TV the last couple of years it's death statistics? Now, were those death statistics, were they accurate? What do we know now? Okay, again, I can't say any of that because we'd be censored. Okay, but we're going to get into this in the second half. Understand, repetition is how that subconscious is programmed. And this has been used for World War I, World War II, World War III. Currently, it's being used. Okay, so we're seeing this repetition. So let's use it to our advantage. Neurolinguistic programming: body posture, volume, intonation, and breathing. And thoughts happen in like falling dominoes. So if you say money devaluating, they're printing it, oh my gosh, my savings is gone, my pension is gone, my this is gone, my that is gone. You say, $10 a gallon for gas. Oh, I can't travel, I can't do this. Okay. Once you see those thought patterns fall, because those thoughts fall like dominoes, and those will eventually suck you into the pit of hell because you're repeating those thoughts all the time. That's when you do this. Okay. And that's why on the other half, You've got the top sheet that you can do the I am exercise on. And all it is, you don't have to believe it. I am healthy. I'm dynamic. I am vibrant. I am strong. I am healed. Okay. Every time I'm driving to this clinic or the clinic in Mexico, and I get those thought patterns, okay, I am connected to the healing source of energy. God's love flows from God through me into my patients. 100% of the people I touch receive that healing energy. I am strong. I'm accurate. I'm brief. Okay. And I do those over and over and over because I can't let those sound worms negatively affect my energy. So when I get out of that friggin' truck in the morning, whether I'm here or down in Mexico, I mean, I'm vibrating that higher frequency because I cannot let my emotions happen by chance. If you master your emotions, you change the chemicals your brain secretes. Okay, and that alters your physiology. So this I totally recommend. 5 keys to healing are true even with we have insane people running this. And we're going to go over that insanity in detail in the second half. Proper nerve supply, exercise, proper nutrition, sufficient rest, and prayer and meditation. That is the key to regeneration of tissue. Now, we're going to get into stuff that the powers that are controlling the social media and the influence into your brain, they don't want you to listen to this stuff because I've tried it, because I've got a couple of things on here that were deleted. But those, if you're watching Dr. BVIP, God bless you. Thank you for supporting us. And subscribe and share this stuff. If you're on Dr. BVIP, share this stuff because you're going to get all the handouts and everything else. But YouTube and Facebook, God bless you. Thanks for making it here. Subscribe, share. Subscribe, share. I never ask people to subscribe, but it's kind of fun to see that my numbers haven't changed at all in 2.5 years. Does anyone think that you get 714,000 people and not one person drops out and not one person gets on? Or do you think they're playing with the numbers?